This is the Niner Fanatic Podcast, and I got with me today Twin from the Bearded Bros Podcast. Uh, him and his brother Law do a great podcast. Make sure that you give those guys a like and a subscribe over on their channel. But before we get into it, we're going to talk a little bit about some, who's in charge of what for the 49ers. But before we get into it, we're going to hit the music.
Ladies and gentlemen,
I like to know.
are you ready for start time?
And once again, what's going on, Niner fam? It is Peter Lucas. This is the Niner Fanatic Podcast. And like I said earlier, I got with me today Twin, always bringing the energy. And Twin, appreciate having you on. It's been a minute. Like, why don't you tell everybody where they can find you on the socials and where they can find your content?
For sure, man. What's up, man? Good evening to everybody on this wonderful Tuesday or Taco Tuesday or Terrific Tuesday, whatever T word you want to use to describe this day, man. It's your boy Twin coming in live and direct. You can follow me at Twin Empire on YouTube or check me out on Twitter at Twin Empire ×2. Make sure you give your boy a follow there, man.
But yeah, so we had like I said, it's been a minute, but make sure that you give this guy a like. Make sure that you follow him on Twitter, and both the link to his channel and the link to both of our Twitters is in the description. So make sure you give us a follow there. This show is going to be on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, of course, and then anywhere where you can get your audio podcast, it'll be there as well. So if you don't like looking at these pretty faces, you can always just listen to our melodious voices, and yeah, I don't care where you get it, just get it, and it is what it is. But yesterday, John Lynch, he went solo and had his presser pre-draft, and he talked about quite a few things. There was a lot of things that he touched on in that press conference, but all anybody heard out of all the things that he said was that they actually fielded fielded offers for Lance. And it's still crazy to me. I did a whole show on it yesterday, but today I wanted to I wanted to bring Twin in and get some, an alternative point of view on it, and just think about, we after the press conference, we still got a lot of the same questions because people won't let him die.
Yeah.
And it seemed to me like he answered a lot of the questions, but it seemed like people on Twitter, like the content all of the talking head people, found a way to just spin it and just keep the chatter going. But why is there such a difference between the way John Lynch answers questions and the way Shanny answers questions? Because it always seems to be you get two completely different vibes. So why do you think that is?
I mean, it boils down to people's personality and how they give out information. Now sometimes they say you have passive aggressive individuals, and then you have people that are like straightforward and not necessarily caring about feelings. And I think there's this thing where you have two people talking, but one make you feel a certain type of way and the other one makes you think. And so with that being said, you're going to have a disparity in how people are going to perceive the information that's given to them. And we've known Kyle and John to say things and then also have different meanings as well. So people don't know which side to lean on, and therefore they're in limbo. I like to always say they're on the fence like Mr. Feeney. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't know which side you're going to lean towards.
Yeah.
And so this right here in the position that's quarterback, that's where you get a lot of this agitation from. And unfortunately, because we've been in limbo for what, maybe 5 years consistently now, or it's really, people are afraid of the unknown, and then people are afraid of what is the known, but it's not necessarily a lot of roots in there. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so because there's not a lot of depth in what it is Brock Purdy, they like, well, we see what could be, but we only have a short sample size. And then you have this mystery box. I don't know. I took my kids to go see what was the movie
Super
just came
Mario
out, but
Brothers.
Super Mario
Yeah,
Brothers,
it was a good
so
movie.
look,
It
it
was
was a
actually a
good
good movie
movie.
for a kid movie. Yeah.
Exactly. So it's a mystery box. So you got this one mystery box, and it could be Trey Lance, and you see the potential for it to have the star power. See what I'm saying?
Hmm.
And but it also could be banana. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
so, and when you are the 49ers franchise, and we've hit that star power twice, you know what I mean, with Steve Young, and then the aforementioned the trailblazer himself, Joe Montana,
Yes.
we all are anticipating that glory ride again, or somebody trying to get that first high. So I believe that's where you get a lot of this up and down, or everybody hanging on to these little subtle hints and clues and nuances, and nobody really has the ability to be patient, because we've been patient for like Steve Young retiring, what, 99? And so
Yes, yes, I
I
believe
mean,
so.
so you got almost 20 some years of people are now, they're like, we're ready for the next golden child, you know what I'm saying, to bring home the next Lombardi. So I think that's where we get a lot of this angst from.
Yeah, I agree with that, and I will say it's a little tiresome at this point, like talking about the same thing. But I want to make sure that we say what's going on to the dudes in the chat.
Yes,
Brian
yes.
Colt, Damien, and Danielle. Appreciate you coming through and getting showing us some love. But yeah, I look at it. I look at it as it's hard because just what you said, it's been so long since the 49ers have had a franchise quarterback. They thought they had it in Kaepernick,
Yeah.
and then the whole team fell apart around him, and and the it was so we never really saw what the end result could have been with Cap, but then you've so now you have you then they thought they had it with Garoppolo. They thought he was going
Hmm.
to keep progressing, but honestly, Jimmy just couldn't stay healthy. It
Yeah.
didn't seem like he progressed much, and it was what it was. Jimmy was what he was. He was going to give you. He had he had the floor. Ever like he had a decent floor, but the ceiling was like 2 feet above the floor. like so it just never really there just wasn't much there, and then now you've got now you so then you go ahead and you draft Trey Lance, who has all the measurables, all the bells and whistles, can throw
Hmm.
it a mile, he's got some athleticism to him, may not be the best runner on the planet, but at the same time he's got some athleticism there, and
Sure.
like I said, he's got a cannon. So you've got the guy with all the measurables, but he doesn't have a lot of experience, and it leaves we don't really know what his leadership style really
Yeah.
is, because he hasn't had a chance. He keeps getting hurt. But then you've got Brock Purdy that pops in and just sets everything on fire, and just sets the
Uh-huh.
whole room on fire. And he goes undefeated. He's scoring 2 touchdowns a game. He's hitting those throws we were begging Jimmy to even try to make. And yeah, it's just, but he's a little guy. The
Yeah.
drawback is that he's kind of a little guy, and as much as they talk about Trey has to stay healthy. Okay, well, Brock got hurt twice last
Nah,
season.
you can't say that now, Pete. You can't say that now. You can't. Oh, what up, Sadiq? How you doing over there in the chat? You can't say that, Pete. You cannot
I can't
say
say
Hart
that he
got
got
hurt.
hurt.
No, because technically he still played, and that injury ain't what it really was. So people like
Well,
to make that seem as if it didn't happen, but let's be honest, all the quarterbacks that we've have on our roster right now haven't played a 16-game season. and that's including Sam Darnold, that's including Trey Lance,
Yeah.
and that's also including Brock Purdy. And that's one of the things that we still, I think one of the biggest issues, like you was talking about, was this. We have had this team over the last 5 years, talent wise, that
Mm-hmm.
matches up with the top 5 teams over the last 5 years.
Yeah, at least. The one thing that was missing is that quarterback position. And honestly, I think that from a positional standpoint, I think the 49ers have the best roster in the league, like hands down. And the one thing that they're missing, the one thing that evens it all out is the fact that they've never been able to solidify that QB position. And if they could just solidify
Yeah.
that, like I just don't think that there's a team that could really get with them. I think if Brock hadn't have gotten hurt, it might have been a different story against the Eagles. But I digress.
Have
Like
you
we lost, so it's what it is.
question? Do you watch? Did you watch? Are you a basketball guy at all?
I watch it. I don't watch it as much as I used to,
Okay, well,
but I
this is
still
an
watch
old
it. I've been
team.
watching the
This is,
playoffs.
this is an old team. So there's
Yeah.
a team back in the day called Atlanta Hawks
Okay.
in like the mid
They still.
2000s,
Oh, okay.
and they used to
I was about to say
have
they're still in the league.
Jeff Teague, they used to
Yeah.
have Joe Johnson, they had
Al Horford.
Al Horford, Josh Howard, and
Mm-hmm.
Marvin Harrison or something like that.
Yep. They were
And
stacked.
they were stacked. They consistently was right there. Every year you can count on them make it to the playoffs. Every year they'll at least win the first round,
Yeah.
possibly get into the second round, but then they'll lose. Mainly because they had some really, really good players in every position, but they didn't have
Yeah.
a star to kind of like when you playing
Mm-hmm.
against the LeBrons, or at that time, I forgot, my mind is kind of slipping right now, but
Oh, you
the
got
Detroit,
Kobe and
yeah, you
like
had
all
Kobe,
those.
those upper echelon individuals who,
Yeah, D Wade.
yeah, D Wade, when one went here, they went there, but then that
Yeah.
superstar took it up here. And I believe that's what we're seeing with the 49ers. Like
Mm-hmm.
the surrounding cast is lovely. But
Mm-hmm.
even though we might not have the greatest, we have great players everywhere, these other teams got that force multiplier over there. And I think that's why there's so much there's so much emphasis on their quarterback. Even when you hear one word about it, I think Pete, that's why they won't let it go, man, because they know we should have, at least with the talent we have, had one Super Bowl by now.
At
At least
least.
one.
At least one.
And time is ticking.
Yeah, and I feel you on that. I still think that um that we haven't found the guy. As much as Lynch and Shanahan have well, I mean, Shanahan doesn't really solidify anything. He doesn't really say anybody particular, but Lynch, for as far as Lynch is concerned, if you pay attention to how that presser went down yesterday, he is all in on Purdy. Like
Oh yeah, for sure.
he got
Brock
super
13.
excited. He's got super excited talking about Brock, and when they asked him about Trey Lance, he's like, "Oh well, Trey's got some things to work on, and he knows that."
But
And
what hold on, what is that though? Help me out. I want to know, what is that thing that he needs to work on? Because prior to him being injured in Seattle,
yeah,
I believe up until the third quarter, until the monsoon came, I think he was like 8 for 15. He was completion percentage was good. His passing per yards was good. He lost his number one running back. The rain came, and then things changed a little bit. And then the
hmm
second, we all know what happened in Seattle.
yeah.
What happened during that span that we feel like, Trey all of a sudden just fell off the wagon?
It's honestly, I don't think anything did. What I think happened is that once Brock came in, and just like the offense looked so dynamic with him in, that they don't care. They're not even paying attention to what Brock actually is. And like they said, well, it's works. So, that's what we're going with. Like I feel like that's where we need to go with. We need to invest everything in this guy, when the reality is I just it's the same thing as Trey. I'll be honest with you. Like I think it's the
For
same
sure.
thing as Trey, because I get what you're saying about the injury, but regardless, he played 8 games. He played 8 games, and then he got hurt for an extended period. Like,
Yeah.
so we would have been 8 games if he had started the season. and he gets hurt 8 games in, where would we be? Without a quarterback.
And
Again.
again, and that is a issue that nobody seems to want to talk about, because I've heard John Lynch say Trey needs to show that he can stay healthy.
Okay, so does he.
Well, we gotta know, are you keeping the same energy for Brock Purdy? Because not only does he have to recuperate from his injury, but then do you believe he can stay up for 17 games now?
That's and we won't, and we don't know because we haven't seen it, and that's why I think it's so silly that we're sitting here talking about, well, Trey's got to go. It's time for Trey to go. We gotta trade Trey and get what we can for him. People talking about giving up about taking 3rd-round picks and 2nd-round picks for the man. Like it's come on.
We got enough picks. We got like
Like
11 third round. We don't need not another pick, bro. We can't spend. Come on, man.
you've got a chance to have a thorough, and I get it that is not the way that this obviously that John Lynch thinks of it, but I mean, from a talent standpoint, it is gross. It is gross malpractice to sit there and invest what you invested in and then not even wait to see if it's going to hit.
For sure.
Like when you're only on the 3rd year, you're going into the 3rd year of his rookie deal. Like it's just silliness in my opinion. And
It's like
you've
property.
got to let, especially when Brock Purdy is currently hurt, you should be going into it with like, hey, Trey has a chance to show what he's been working on in the offseason. Not say that he has to work on something. It should be like Trey has a chance to show what he's been working on off season. He's coming back from an injury. Let's he's going to get a chance to compete with Sam Darnold, and depending on how Brock looks when he's coming out of his rehab, maybe Brock too. But we're going into it. Obviously, Trey is going to get a chance to show what he's been working on. So, but that's not what they're doing. They're saying that we're fielding calls, and we haven't really gotten anything substantial yet. Basically, telling people, and everybody took that as, well, everybody needs to up their offer in order to get him. But I didn't take it that way. I took it that way is exactly the way he said it, which is we haven't gotten anything of any substance as an offer for Trey Lance. So we plan on holding on to Trey and let him and Darnold scrap it out and see who comes out on top to who's going to be starting week 1. And but they could have said it in a different way to kind of quell all the nonsense. And they always choose not to. They always choose
always choose violence.
Like it's crazy. Like, and I almost think they love the chaos. I think that they love it.
We are the Jerry Jones of the West. As you know, my brother is a Cowboy fan. He does Cowboy content, and it's
big up to Law. Make sure that you subscribe to Law, out there.
Law Nation Sports, man. Yeah, y'all go ahead and check them out. But it's like, as long as we in the news, it's good news. And unfortunately, it's like, bro, we are in the news for all the wrong reasons. And when you leave a fan base that is as rabid as we are, man, you're going to get this turbulence throughout the entirety of the offseason. You see the spaces from time to time, bro.
Yeah.
You got such a division, not only between fans, but then also you have certain content creators or certain media personnels, and they only give a perspective a certain way. And I'm going to tell y'all this right now. I mean, as a person, there's certain things that I see. I'd be like, you feel like the narrative is kind of biased on the certain situations, how certain things are being reported compared to others. Just like you saw, Brock Purdy was at the game with the Giants, right? Giants game.
You saw he used his right hand.
But then even John Lynch spoke on, like, Brock was at the game. I'm like, all right, that's cool. But you had Trey Lance with Mahomes, that Matt Miyoko, them, they're kind of quiet about, not necessarily saying nothing is loud. They didn't want to make jokes. You had Trey Lance with Stephen freaking Curry, probably the most highly talented, most watched personnel in the last 8 years, as far as a superstar, sitting courtside with him for several games. And it's like, okay, well, that was your golden goose, because at the end of the day, we hadn't picked a first-round quarterback in forever. You know what I mean? And so it's like, dude, what are y'all going to do? Because y'all need to do something. And even with Brock Purdy being hurt, it's like even if he comes back, say for hypothetically speaking, he's ready in September, my guy. I don't know if people know this, but when you are throwing a ball, you need all of not only your upper body
Yeah,
intact, but then you also need your lower body intact. And that's
lower
just to get
body,
back to
the
throwing the
core.
football like me and you, Peter. We're talking like regular.
Yeah,
We're not talking about throwing the football like you're going against high school player. That's the
yeah.
next level. Then you gotta act like
Hmm.
you gotta throw the ball against a what? College level. When we talking D3, then you gotta go to D1, then you gotta go to what? Professional level. So that means somebody saying, well, as long as he out there throwing 7 on 7, things that no, dude. You are playing against the 1%, and they actually watch film on you now over the all season. They seen how you took the lead by storm. So you know what they don't want us here? They don't want to hear Mr. Irrelevant coming in 2023 showing them up. So you know what them boys, them defensive ends been doing and them defensive coordinators been doing? And we've been
Hmm.
hearing them talking about how Brock Purdy's going to come over here and take over the league, you're a franchise quarterback. Like, man, they are competitors out there hearing that like, oh, okay.
Yeah,
But people tend to not want to hear about that and just want to send that boy out there and let him play. And then if something happened to him, they were like, well, John Lynch and them are always getting quarterbacks hurt. We always
yeah,
got these quarterbacks. See, it was like, then we'll have this whole issue. Like, here we go again.
yeah, yeah. It's just not. It's. But I mean, the biggest thing for me is that you're asking more of Trey Lance than you are Brock Purdy and Jimmy Garoppolo for that point. Like you're asking him to understand, to know the playbook as well as some extra plays for the QB option stuff. But
Mm-hmm.
that's not being taken into account. How about if you're saying that he can't run the game plan for like that Brock and like I mean he has to know more than those guys. So
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure as to why there is this there's just this sense of just I mean he's here like we don't I mean Lynch honestly talking about it almost looked like he just didn't even he wanted to get through that question as quickly as possible because he wanted to start talking about his boy Brock and
And big
like
up to the media, though. I'll say this, just cut you off. Thank you for the media this time for getting together and seeing like they had a game plan to ask consecutive questions to kind of keep them on the
yeah,
hot seat. That's
yeah.
all I want to say. Continue on, continue.
Yeah,
I just want to
and
give them
I
some
argued
props.
with a couple of people on Twitter about that whole aspect because yes, they have to ask they should be asking certain questions and certain follow-up questions. But people are sitting there acting like that like these reporters have to ask the specific questions that they want asked and and Lynch has to answer them. If he doesn't answer them, then the reporter is supposed to keep asking the questions until he answers. Okay, it's if they don't want to answer the questions, they're not going to answer the questions. They're not. They're definitely not going to. They're definitely not going to answer it the way that that you want them to answer it, because
Mhm.
any organization worth their salt is not showing all their cards.
Yeah.
They're not going to, and they shouldn't. I don't want them to. I want to hear it from Rappaport and from Shefty that the deal is done when the deal is done. I don't want to hear secondhand and speculation, like because that's exactly what that is. So it's people. I know people. It's great talking bites, and it gives us great amounts of content to talk about. Like, but the reality is y'all need to ease up on these reporters. Like they're trying to get their questions out.
But
Like,
I think
and they
what
want to
happened
ask
was though,
questions.
Pete.
Yeah, go for it.
But I think sometimes they be asking like, how you feel about D'Amico Ryan's being first year head coach in Tennessee Titans?
Well,
How
yeah,
do you feel about
that's
Ray
a
Carter?
setup question,
And
though.
I'd be like, bro, because sometimes the question you be like, man, look,
Yeah.
take a D'Amico, you is down there in Tennessee. We care less what you got going on there. They was asking questions about my guy in Miami. What's my man's name? Mike
McDaniel.
McDaniels and hey, bro, they are gone. Some of them questions, I'd be like, listen here, I care less what Mike McDaniel's doing. How you feel like because he got a couple of our players and stuff. Man, who cares? Ask what's going on in our locker room. and let's keep it like that. Sometimes I be like, you do got questions that I think they waste. Even if it's not talking about the quarterback, you can ask about Armstead. You can ask about how do you feel about our safety room with Gibson coming back and possibly Timo Palomalu. Do we think about we need to draft another safety or something like that? That's cool. But
Yeah.
when we start asking questions about these other folks out there, man, listen here.
Yeah. But to their credit, they didn't answer any of those types of questions this last presser. Like, it was pretty to the point, and I thought for the most part that Lynch was pretty transparent in his
Yeah.
answers, like and pretty definitive about his answers. Now people are going to take that and run with it and try to twist it into something else and try to go off of his mannerisms and try to read into the way he said things. Like, but the reality is every time they do that, y'all do that. We look back 2-3 months and they told you exactly what they were going to do.
Yeah.
And then we sit there and say, well, we thought that he meant like that. Stop thinking. That's your problem.
But see, the Jimmy Garoppolo issue messed us up though. When he
Yeah.
said Jimmy ain't gonna be here no more, let's follow
Well, I don't think
goodbye.
he was supposed to be. But I think in the situation that they were in, they overvalued him. Like, they couldn't get what they wanted to, so then they had to pivot. Like,
Yeah.
that's a different story, in my opinion. That's a different story. But I think that they wanted him gone. And
But it
now he
all
is definitely
revolves
gone
around
now.
the person though. It all but the bad thing is it all revolves around the what position.
It's always the quarterback position for the
That's
49ers.
the only reason why we get this much like traction is if it was like the DN or the Mike linebacker, man, wouldn't nobody care. But it's the quarterback of one of the most hits. I tell somebody this all the time. Besides the Green Bay Packers, probably over the last 40 years, we have two of the top 20 quarterbacks to ever play, the game of football. And I think because of that historical precedent, this is why we have this type of magnitude on the QB position.
Yeah.
And they're not going to let it go because we haven't won Super Bowl forever. And I think the fan base in the past history is fiending for that guy.
Yeah.
Brock Purdy.
Yeah. I just can't do it. I can't do it. Like, I just can't do it. It's and I like Brock. I think I appreciate his play. Like, he did really well. I was all on the Brock train because
sure.
there was no other option. There's no other option. But now you've got options. And I think that it's silly when you have options to just say, no, this is it. Even if you don't even know what you got. But
this is it. Brock finna get $40 million after this year. Watch what I tell you. Look, they're going to say, hey, the 49ers, look, this is what they doing. Brock sitting back here like, they want me so bad. They're willing to get rid of the guy who they gave away. Like, they gave away.
Crazy.
So, when it comes to negotiation time, Brock will sit back and say, well, you guys were willing to move off your first round draft pick that you used for the third round draft pick.
Yeah.
You gave a multiple picks for him. You got rid of him. You told everybody that I was your guy. I started off 8-0. I made it to the NFC Championship game. I came in at Mr. Irrelevant, only making $9,000 a year. I seen Daniel Jones throw 16 touchdowns in 1 year. He got $40 million guaranteed. I believe that's where we should start.
Well, yeah, because the cap is going to go up astronomically after this season. So he's going to get that. Whoever is the starter is going to get that money. But see, I still caution people to not think that it's over. Don't think that it's over. As much as they're saying what they're saying now, we thought that, like you said earlier, we thought that we were done with Jimmy Garoppolo. Like, and he ended up starting how many games for us last season, and he ended up getting hurt, but he ended up back on the team when we thought it was done. And so football is a funny, that ball bounces real funny sometimes, and you just don't know. Yeah, you just don't know like what's going to end up happening. But I want to pivot to talking about that. What the speculation that Lynch is trying to start a bidding war for Lance, because a lot of people were saying that he said what he said so that people would up their offers. Do you think that's accurate, or should we believe that should we believe Lynch when he says that they're going to keep Trey for the foreseeable future?
Man, in my honest opinion, this is my hope. I know our management has at times blindsided us.
Yeah.
But logically speaking, I hope that he can just look back over the last since 2017 and say, you know what? We haven't had a healthy QB room. We haven't even had
Mm-hmm.
a healthy running back room.
Real talk.
Why would I take the player who has the most meat in the game, meaning the most experience in their QB room, with one guy who's haven't been in here, who hasn't been consistently healthy, which is Sam Darnold, because he's been hurt as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then another, because nobody wants to talk about his injury history as well, but that's neither here nor there. But
Yeah.
then another guy who's coming back, if I had a grain of sand right here in my hand, he couldn't make a throwing motion and throw a grain of sand and hit this TV screen right now. He couldn't do it. He couldn't do that right now.
He's trying to throw with his left now. You know that you see that joke out there?
He's trying to be ambidextrous out here because he know that right ain't going nowhere. So if that is my quarterback and everybody saying, well, just wait till he get to week 12, he will start throwing. Do y'all not understand what that means to start to throw?
Yeah.
And so what I'm saying to you is, bro, I hope they are not trying to raise up his draft capital, because we've seen multiple times we've had two quarterbacks get injured, not only last year, but in multiple years prior to that. To me, there'll be malpractice, like someone always says. I think it'll be terrible. We need as many as possible, and nobody is talking about this one aspect about our team. Last year was probably by far the healthiest we had ever been.
Easily.
How long you think? And I'm not trying to be that person to put the rat in the room, but how do y'all really think? I mean, I pray we can go back-to-back seasons, but if we want to be real, history shows that we might want to make sure we keep all of our best players available on this team and not trade away any assets. That's all I'm gonna say.
That's, man, I mean, you're preaching to the choir now. Because I praise him. It just doesn't make sense. I've been saying this for weeks now, is that with all the injuries that they had last year, with the system that the 49ers have in place, the offense that we say that Kyle is a genius, yes, and all that stuff, but his system is risk and reward, because the odds are the QB is going to get hurt. It doesn't matter who the QB is. There is not one QB that hasn't at least threatened not to play in a game. Jimmy is the only one that made it through a whole season, I believe, once.
Yeah,
and that only happened once. Out of all these years that Shanahan's been here. So, but every other season we've had to get to our third string quarterback. Every other season. So if you think that magically speaking of, because they found their guy, that means that Brock's going to stay hurt or is going to stay healthy.
Stay healthy. Look.
If he's like, yeah, don't put that up in the air. Like that. If you don't think that Brock is going to is just going to magically just stay healthy because they named him the guy, you're out of your minds. You're out of your mind. Yeah. You're not thinking it all the way through, because it doesn't matter if it's Shanahan's fault or not. It doesn't matter if it's his fault. The matter is it's just a fact,
bro.
It's gonna happen.
Our quarterbacks are like Anthony Davis, bro. Yeah. Listen, every time they hit the ground,
yeah, it's like, oh, please, just please get up,
please, Lord, get up. Everybody, look, you already know. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, people don't want to tell the truth, so you better have a backup to the backup. You know what I'm saying?
And I feel like that's what the 49ers did. And that's what they've got. That's what they've got right now. And it just seems every single season the 49ers try to improve a little bit of what tripped them up the season before. And Like they had problems with injuries in the past. They tried to get rid of the whole conditioning staff like one season. Then another season they stopped drafting anybody with any kind of injury issues.
Yeah.
And bringing in anybody that's like that. Like they stopped doing it entirely. And I thought that was kind of speaking directly to that. And now now they're dealing with they've got to get through a season with the quarterback. And so now that's going to be the new focus. They're saying to you by having Purdy, Darnold, and Trey that hey, we are not going. It is not going to be because of the quarterback position this year.
Hopefully.
I mean, hopefully not. But I mean, like if they can't get through this season with 3 quarterbacks, then that is a glaring. Now it's an issue.
So I got a question for you. This is my hypothetical in my head, right? This is what I program. This is what I be thinking about when I'm alone, just chilling. We keep Brock Purdy. He's our quarterback, our QB1.
Mm-hmm.
How proficient do you believe he can be if he doesn't have these weapons around him over the next 3 to 5 years? Because a lot of times when we heard this Trey Lance plan, this is what John Lynch and Kyle, he was saying he didn't want to be good just for a short time. He wanted to consistently win at that position, right? And for the team. And so with this squad, do you think Brock Purdy could sustain excellence to the level that people say he was playing with for the next 5 years if Kittle is no longer here and Debo is injured and CMC is up and down? Because we know, we don't want to be real, but he can be up and down.
Mm-hmm.
Can he stay scoring 30 points a game if those guys aren't surrounding him? And with our left tackle up in age.
Mm-hmm.
How much faith do you have in this team in the next 2 to 5 years?
I have faith that they will retool and reload. Like when they get and they do such an awesome job at drafting players, like especially in the 3rd round on, basically. Like and
we're
which
paying
is
about
keeps
$45
them
million,
which keeps
$50
them
million.
cost.
I gotta put that in there.
Which keeps them cost efficient. Like and they have so many guys locked up right now that's what they're gonna do. These other guys, like I'm a firm believer, and people are gonna kill me for saying this, but I'm a firm believer. I don't think Debo's here in 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
I think Ayuk is gonna be the one that gets re-signed, and and then they're gonna draft. They're drafting the guy that it's gonna replace Debo probably this season or next season.
And they got to go replace George this year.
Yeah, I think that it's entirely possible, and people are gonna whoever they draft, it's gonna look like, oh well, he's not gonna be much because they're gonna keep him on the back burner. They're gonna let him sit around and watch and get them involved here and there. But the reality is they've proven that they like to let a guy almost sit a year and then get their body right and like all that kind of stuff. And then that next season, here they come. And it's I'm interested to see a few 2nd-year players this season on how they come. They're starting to talk really good about Zakel, which I thought that they mentioned him a couple of times in the presser. And so I think that is something that people are not talking about. And they said that he can play 1 through 5.
Yeah.
Which I think is a that is a soundbite that people should be talking about, because if they feel that strongly about him, then that could be a possibility that we should be looking into in camp. But the reality is I think that Brock Purdy could I think any of these quarterbacks could possibly be okay 5 years just because of the system, as long as they can stay healthy. That's the whole thing. Can they stay healthy? Because the system is what gets these guys open. It's not the guys. I mean, Ayuk can cook anybody, but the rest of them, Debo doesn't win that way. Debo doesn't win that way. And like George Kittle can run routes, but I mean, it's really the system that gets him in space. It gets these guys in space and gets them wide open. So
Yeah.
they've just got to, if he can throw the ball on time, because remember, people forget on 2019, who did they have? They had a
Wide
rookie
receiver, a
Debo.
rookie Debo. Then they
They
had
didn't
well,
have
this,
Emmanuel
but the
Sanders until midseason.
yeah,
Like
but that running game was ridiculous. Boy,
it
we was
was.
knocking people 200 yards a game. Boy, I mean, we had the cheater. This is before Raheem Morrison was out there, boy. That boy, what's his name? What's my guy name? It
Uh,
wasn't Raheem Morrison. It was the other guy.
oh,
Oh,
little dude.
he was fast as I don't know what
Yeah,
though.
he was. Yeah, he was. That first week, he had like the
Hurt.
fastest running forever. Like
Yeah.
he plays. He played for the Bills and he played for somebody
Hmm.
else.
Yeah, for the
And
first 7 games,
I can't think of
he
his
was
name.
running
I'm
good.
blanking. Yeah, I'm
And then I
blanking
know
on.
I'm blanking too. And then he got a little hurt, and then Raheem came in and bust that big old like 70-yard run. And everybody was like,
Mm-hmm.
"Oh my god!" And then he started killing the edge on the outside zone. It was ridiculous. But yeah,
They
man,
had Kendrick
that
Bourne. They had Donde
Kendrick Bourne.
Pettis. They had, and I think that Kyle's going to find a way. Kyle's going to find a way to get like I have a lot of faith in Kyle, like that he's going to figure out a way to get that offense going, and I think they're still going to have talent. I
To
mean,
the degree I have faith in Kyle, I just need Kyle to adjust
oh yeah,
the
he's
system.
not
Meaning,
perfect.
the system is the system, but there has to come a point in time where he got to realize that I have to leave enough room that somebody can do something outside of my system. Where it's like a coach. Yes, I have my plays as a system, and I'm a big Golden State Warrior fan. So they run this motion offense. They are one of the teams that don't run a lot of high pick and rolls at
Mm-hmm.
all. In the NBA, that does a lot of high pick and roll at the top of the key. They do it. They don't do it at all.
Yeah.
But during the playoffs, when stuff started to get a little weird, Steph Curry got to look at the coach and say, "Hey, man, forget running 25 screens in one play. Spread the flow.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go ISO. I'm gonna go high pick and roll. Get the 5 on me. Then I'm gonna either boogie, go to the rack, or I'm gonna step back. I'm gonna hit the 3. And sometimes we gotta have in the playoffs where our talent is even and people understand our concept. We need a quarterback to say, "Hey, Kyle, I'm gonna need you to take a seat. Let me boogie." And I hope that whether it's in order for us to win 6, he has to have the ability to trust one of these quarterbacks really, really soon, because I don't think we will win a Super Bowl until that part happens, because that breaks the conservativeness, his conservative nature. It will only be broken if he trusts somebody else to take our team to the next level. Until then, I think that would be our Achilles heel. Sorry to make that long little rant, but I do
No,
believe that
you're
would be
good.
our Achilles heels as him. Like, he's a great coach. I'm not putting it against him, but sometimes himself is a self-governor to sustain our offense at a certain level that we don't go past.
See, and that's, you said one thing that I refuse to give him the I said this a few episodes back. I'm not going to call him a great coach until he gets the ring. Like until he gets the ring, he's a very good coach.
How dare you say such a thing like that?
Like, I mean, you
Pete.
got to be in order to be great, you have to look outside of yourself and see what it's going to take for you to get over the hump. The great coaches understand that it's not all about them. Just like you were talking about, it's not all about you. It's sometimes you're gonna need your players to step up for you, and it's how you manage your talent, and it's just, yeah, like you have to make those adjustments that we still see Kyle struggle to make,
Yeah.
like from time to time. So until he figures that part out and kind of starts leaving, we see less of his ego showing. Then I mean, he's a really good coach. He's a good coach. He's not a great coach. So that's just how I feel about it. Like,
And to add on to what you just said about ego, so there's a point of ego where not hypothetical. We seen last year with the Kansas City Chiefs. They ran this one play with Patrick Mahomes. When them jokers came out there, they did a whoopsie doopsie
yeah.
whoopsie. But That to me was an ego, probably so, but to me that was trust
Yeah.
in my players that I'm so confident. I want them to know that I'm that confident in y'all to go out there and do something that some people wouldn't even think about doing. But
Yeah.
y'all my boys, and I'm gonna trust y'all.
Yeah.
Same thing with Philadelphia.
I think Andy Reid cracked the code when he had Alex Smith.
Yeah,
Like, Alex Smith couldn't quite get them over the hump, but I think he had already cracked the code because he was. You saw what he did for Alex. Alex Smith had his best years as a Chief, and it's because Andy Reid learned how to just kind of let his players play, and
yeah,
he puts them in position, but he wants them to be uh to be great. He wants you to
hmm
go out there and be great. And he's found a way to motivate those guys. Those guys always game up. Their defense has never been considered a really great defense, but
yeah,
somehow, some way, every single time when they really need it, those dudes step up.
hmm
And like that's coaching.
yeah,
Like people are going to sit there and say that it's great players. No, it's great. That's great coaching to empower your guys to come through. That's what Phil Jackson used to say all the time. He used to when all these other coaches were calling timeouts, the team getting whooped on, and they would all the other coaches would call timeout,
yeah.
and they'd be looking over at Phil, and he'd say, "No, no, no, come on, keep going. You got to
Figure it
learn.
out.
You got to
Figure it
learn."
out. Figure it out. Because he knew that was a mental game that he was saying that listen here, there's going to be a point in the season where, listen, I can't do nothing. I
Yeah,
can't play for y'all. But you got to have the ability to self govern yourself and galvanize and process and create and make adjustments on the fly to be able to win.
yeah,
And
real talk.
that's where, and again, I think those guys in Kansas City, they look over there and say, all right, on defense, hey, man, let's do this because at the end of the day, we still got number 15 over there too as well. So
Hmm.
we got to trust and believe that listen, we just make one play, he go take us home. And I believe the Eagles kind of started to feel that same way about Jalen Hurts because even though that coach was kind of cocky, he did empower his guys how he talked about. And hey, Jalen Hurts like Michael Jordan. Or, and we seen certain guys say that to their quarterbacks. They really, when you know who your quarterback is,
Yeah.
sometimes you gotta, you gas them up a little bit, and that's okay. And I think that's what the Niner fans want as well. They want, and you kind of get a little bit where John Lynch will gas Purdy more so than Kyle Shanahan. And I
Hmm.
believe that causes a little rift too. They're like, come on, Kyle. Kyle, like, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I just can't let it go. Like he was late. He was late, even though he made the throw. Like he ran around. Purdy ran around. And he's still talking about it at the press conference. How like yeah, sometimes I wish he would just make the throw. like, like okay, I mean, but Kyle, but it is what it is. But I got one more question, then we're gonna get out of here.
For
So
sure, for sure.
Jordan Palmer, I guess the QB coach for Sam Darnold, former QB coach for Sam Darnold, says Darnold basically called Darnold the starter today on some podcast. Uh,
Uh-huh.
as silly as that sounds to me in my brain, like who do you think is gonna be the 49ers starting QB week 1? And does Darnold or Trey or does Darnold or Trey have a chance of being the official starter after Purdy is healthy?
All right, I answer your first
Yeah,
one. So, can Darnold be the starting quarterback? Um, I can't sit here and say no.
yeah.
As much as I want to say Trey, with this team and with the USC ties, because a lot of times what I'm learning the more, and I talk to my brother sometimes, he's like, the business of football can be real tricky,
Mhm.
man. And when my brother said it to me, it reminded me of what um, Jimmy Ward did on one of his lives where he said he was talking about the quarterback situation. He said, you know what, the business, and he kept saying the business, and he was just saying like, it ain't what you think it is. You know what I mean? And so I was like, there's some tea. There's some smoke behind there where there's something going on because his locker is beside Trey Lance. And so I'm figuring there's something going on. You know what I mean? And so I'm like, it's the business, huh? Okay. And so not only that, the USC ties, that he has a familiar relationship with my guy, CMC.
Mm-hmm.
That's a family tied as well. Jordan Palmer, Carson Palmer, USC Connect, so on and so forth. So like there's a lot of stake over there that he must know something that we might not know. Or the locker room may have shared something far as some of the boys may have shared something to him and say, hey man, we might have your back. So I do believe that Carson can be the starter. I do believe Trey can be the starter. And I do believe once Brock come back, can he retake his starting position? Most definitely, because the one thing about the 49er fan base, and a particular the season ticket holders over there and the people who kind of push the market brand for the 49ers, if we're not playing a particular type of way, they could say, hey, let's see what Brock can do, you know, and he can go back out there. So it just depends on what it looks like to me, in my opinion. What does it look like?
Yeah, I think Trey Lance is starter QB week one. Week one, I think he's going to outplay Darnold because I think he has more. Darnold has talked about seeing ghosts. I think that's going to raise its ugly head. He's not going to be going against a bad team in practice. He's going to be going against one of the best defenses in the league, just like Trey had to, just like Purdy had to, and I think that is going to make a difference. I think that Trey is going to outplay him just because he knows the system and he knows the guys. And it's going to be. I think that's going to play into it also. But
What's
I
his
think
margin of error, though, Pete? Like, what's his
Oh,
margin
there
of
is
error, though?
none. There is no margin of error for error.
That's what I'm
But
saying,
I
bro.
feel like Trey is going to go out there and make enough plays to where it's going to be obvious that he should be the starter, and that if he's not, that people are going to be like, it's gonna look real bad. It's gonna look real questionable. It's gonna look real questionable, and because then we're starting to have another conversation at that point. If it's obvious that Trey should be starting, and they just put Darnold in there, yeah. Now I'm looking at this culture sideways. Yeah, because yeah, like that's one thing that I feel like that they have done this whole tenure is that they played the best guy. They've played the best guy, and this is not the time to be waffling on that just because you've got your own preconceived notions about this, that, and the third. Like, in my opinion,
No,
like,
I
but
agree. Look, I'm hoping what you're saying is true,
yeah,
but I'm just my opinion on the matter comes because of what I've seen and what I've heard, far as this, not only in the organization but then outside of how these people feel,
mm-hmm,
whether it's the play-by-play guy,
mm-hmm,
whether it's the color commentary guy, where like these people are the mouthpieces of a lot of situation that goes on in the Bay. And just listening to these things, you like, oh, whoa, wait a minute. Okay. So that's all I'm saying is like, I hope what you're saying is true, but I cannot negate what I hear and how certain things are typed up. Like once I heard Matt Miyoko say after one game that Jimmy Garoppolo should be maybe starting week 2 or week 3, I said, whoa, wait a minute. And then everybody else, just Tim Ryan and all, they got him. It was like, yeah, Trey was out there and he just didn't look right. I'm like,
yeah.
wow. So that's
It's
all. That's
just
all the reason why I say the other part is like,
I will say that I don't think that it's overblown the leadership and the because what I do not see from Trey, and I'm willing to admit this, is that is that I don't see him like, let's go, like in the huddle, like getting demonstrative, like and getting these guys.
You know why though, Pete?
I mean, I honestly I don't care why.
But
Like,
that's on you don't care why. But I'm telling you, like that's where the business. That's where the business get weird because
yeah,
watch this. So our boy Brock, right? Brock go throw touchdown. He bah, 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 he threw the double dunk, like he
yeah,
threw the guns. Everyone like, oh my goodness, yeah, that's cool. Similar how when Tom Brady throw the clipboard, he's passionate. He's
yeah,
showing that he care.
yeah,
I'm just saying, my G, when somebody else do it, oh, he trying to make it about himself.
oh,
He go trying to, so
yeah,
when he go out there, he do what he do. He got here. He trying to make it seem like this, cause you know what I mean. And that's part I like. I don't even want to go that conversation, but that's how things get turned in media. And you be like, oh, what you thought that's just him having fun? Like
yeah.
we like seeing Brock showing that swag,
But
but if
that's
some,
but see, that's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about that aspect. I'm talking about the aspect of him getting his guys in the huddle and being and having that forceful, like putting it out there, like and in the huddle and on the sideline, like and just and like telling it, going to his offensive lineman, hey, like I need this. That's what I
yeah,
want to see. That's what I want to see because I said for right now, that is something that I feel I don't see from him all the time. And
I agree with you.
like so
Yeah,
that's the part that I want to see. And I think that kind of goes into what they're talking about. It's not always just all the talent. There's a lot more intangible stuff that goes into it. And but I think
that
he can
part.
get there. I think he can
Yeah,
get there. And I just want to see it. I want to see him get as many opportunities as possible.
yeah. I'm telling you, look, it's that I don't give a you
Yeah,
know what, and he like because he's trying to make sure he appease both
exactly.
sides of the track because he know. I mean,
But
he's
that's
he has a
experience.
certain look.
But that's experience. I think that's the part of that is the experience level of commanding so many huddles
Yeah,
and not knowing and not caring. Hey, I know what I'm doing. Because that's what those dudes in the huddle got to understand, that you know what you're doing and that you have command of what is going on and
yeah,
where the ball is going and telling them what is about to happen.
yeah,
You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? Like, so it's
And
just that's the only aspect. But
oh no, and we should. And I think and you know what kind of gave me some hope on that situation was what I heard in the Rich Eisen interview.
yes,
Not the live part. So a lot of
yeah,
people caught the live. I went back and if you watch the audio on the Odyssey app,
okay,
there's like maybe 3 minutes that's not shown pre in post, and you
uh-huh,
hear Trey talking in the background. You kind of hear what he's saying. And in Rich Eisen live, you can see Rich is kind of like lively. He kind of can like, man, I like this guy. You know what I mean? And he even had the guys who was in the back, like kind of like he ha ha. You know what? I don't really like. I haven't seen him play, but I like him. You see what I'm
yeah,
saying? And I think that was a part of Trey personality where he, throughout the injury, must have said, you know what? Like you just said, forget it. I'm just gonna go out and do my thing, and who cares? And you see that, like that has to be his lead. He has to lead with that because there's he can't waste, like you said, you can't waste another
yeah. There is
opportunity.
no, yeah. There's nothing left. There's nothing left. Like, I mean, now you are at the very least uh you're auditioning. You're
Yeah,
auditioning at this point for somebody else to be their guy. Like if the 49 to be the if the 49ers don't want you, like now it's time to show somebody else, hey, come and get me out of here so that we can go and so I can go and show these dudes what they're missing.
for sure. Hey, had
So
that Steph Curry. I tell people in the Bay, I this is my little name. I tag him as the Prince of the Bay. Right now, Steph Curry is the king of the Bay.
yeah,
You need to tell them people you got to be box office.
yeah,
I don't care what nobody say. You when you over there rubbing elbows with Steph make you scratch your head sometimes, but then he'll make you drop your jaw and say, "Oh my God, what did I just see?" And he
yeah,
gonna have to be there for it to shut everybody up and to get the locker room and be like, "Hey, did y'all not see what I just did? I don't care if it's Brock Purdy, Sam Purdy, Pretty Purdy, whoever it is, he can't do what I can do.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the type of swag you gotta have. Like, I don't care who he is. Get Sam I Am, Green Hicks, Sam coming here. Ain't now one of them can do what I can do. Point blank, period. Let's go. This is my team. And that's when you will say, oh, I thought he was just a little quiet boy from Minnesota.
Yeah.
Like,
but yeah. Hey, Twin, I appreciate you coming through.
for sure, my guy.
We're gonna get up out of here, but I got one more show tomorrow. Make sure you guys tune in for that. And yeah, like, why don't you tell everybody where they can find you on the socials and where they can find your content one more time so they
For
can
sure,
go ahead and
man.
subscribe.
Y'all make sure you look at your boy, man, or go on YouTube, Twin Empire, man. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, man. And also on Twitter, Twin Empire with an X in the 2. Follow me on there. This weekend, maybe in the next couple of months, I'm gonna start, like you said, getting back to making content and go ahead and cook things back up, man. Get things cooking, get things prepping, man. And yeah, and also check us out coming soon. The Bearded Bros podcast will be hitting you up on Thursdays, where me and my brother talk about the things that's going on in sports. I'm the diehard Niner fan. He's the Cowgirl fan, and we're gonna sit here and banter about. Well, I know who the greatest franchise is, but he gonna try
Yes,
to
we all
make his
know.
stake about who he think the Cowgirls are, man. So yeah, make sure y'all hit me up and continue to follow my boy Pete Lucas, man. Y'all make sure y'all sub to the channel, comment below, and let's keep this thing rolling.
Yeah, appreciate you. And big up to all the people that came into the chat tonight. CG, make sure you give my guy CG a follow and a subscribe. Also, he's got great content over there. He's done a lot of draft interviews
For sure.
So make sure you check out his channel. He's got a ton of stuff on there, but Grandizer, Diamond Cutter, Sadiqa. I just lost a whole bunch. Brian Culp, Damien, appreciate you guys coming through. And once again, like, this show is on Twitter, it's on YouTube, it is on Facebook. I'm anywhere where you can get your audio podcast. I don't care where you get it, just get it. And then make sure that you tell a friend to tell a friend so we can be friends every day, every week. And yeah, it's gonna be now we're looking forward to the draft. We got the draft in a couple of days, and then we're looking forward to OTAs. But it's gonna be quite the off season. So make sure you stay tuned and make sure you give this video a like and a subscribe. And
sure.
but yeah, I'll see y'all tomorrow. Appreciate my guy Twin coming through. Appreciate everybody for watching.
Peace,
And
love.
as always, go Niners.
Let's go, baby. Bang, bang.